All right, everybody, welcome back to another week here, Rips Wrestling Roundup. Come get some! Dr. Rips here with Professor Chewie. A night, or a day, I should say, after, I don't know what you'd call it, if it was a great SummerSlam, definitely not great. A mediocre SummerSlam, for sure. To me, a handful of matches that were entertaining. The rest were kind of, to me, filler. We'll get into the card here and give you our SummerSlam review. The professor here was pretty good at predictions, and I was not. And it was a very hard card to pick. Even the betting odds were all mostly wrong, and that's either attributed to WWE not leaking the information on who was going to win, switching the results, whatever it was. It was definitely an unpredictable show, at least. Yeah. We'll get right into it. So basically, the pre-show started at I think it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. SummerSlam seemed like it was 12 hours, but the pre-show had 3 matches on it. Started off with Miz and the Miztourage taking on Jason Jordan and the Hardys, where we saw Jason Jordan actually take the pinfall here, not seeing that the Miz got tagged in, taking the skull-crushing finale. Hardys on the pre-show as well. What did you think of this?
I think we didn't pick one. Was this on our list for?
No, I don't think. No, because they didn't have this match announced until a couple days before the show. So
2 hours before the show started.
Something like that. Yep.
Yeah, I like the Miz, so I have no problem with him pinning Jordan. Did he pin Jordan?
The Miz did. Yes, he hit the skull crushing finale on him. 1, 2, 3. Down goes Jason Jordan. Kurt Angle's son takes the loss. And that was the first match. The Hardys, hopefully they'll get some more play here. Yeah. Maybe they just didn't have anything really going with them. They threw them in this match just to get them on the card. Hopefully they're awoken, broken, whatever the hell they got to be. Do something with them. Getting wasted here. And not in the good way. Then we had our first title change of many of the night. We saw the Cruiserweight Championship defended again. Akira Tozawa, now champion, taking on Neville, and Neville beats him. Neville gets his knees up on the flying sexton, senton, backwards senton, the diving sexton, and takes advantage, hits the red arrow, and pins him, and now he's the champ again. So a week after he loses the championship, wins it back. What'd you think of this one?
I think I predicted Neville, but I really wanted Akira to win.
Right.
But, maybe he'll win it again, but I don't know. At this point, I feel like Neville's just going to keep on destroying people.
Yeah, and as he should. He probably shouldn't have lost it in the first place. But I thought, okay, if he loses it, then, it's going to be to somebody who they want to run with. Yeah. And clearly I was wrong, as usual.
Austin Aries?
As much as you think you know sometimes about wrestling, you don't know anything. So I got that one wrong as well. Neville beat Akira Tozawa. He will be Cruiserweight Champion on Raw tonight, going into 205 Live tomorrow night. So we'll see where they're going with this, who maybe the next challenger will be for Neville. A lot of things kind of will be set in motion after this. Some feuds are ending. Some feuds will probably continue a little bit into No Mercy and beyond. So we'll see what happens with that. The first entertaining match to me, the Neville match was not bad in any way, but the Usos versus the New Day was the first one that I was kind of really interested in, and also seemed like the crowd was interested in. And the Usos hit the double Uso splash and pinned Big E after a bunch of super kicks on them, and they become the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. What are we thinking?
No disrespect to New Day, but I was kind of surprised when they beat them for the belts. So I'm glad they're back on the Usos.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm glad that the Usos have it back again. Flip flopping titles often in the same feud. So. But happy to see that the Usos are tag team champs again. Maybe they just had an epiphany, WWE, and figured, what are we doing? Let's put the belts back on them. Or maybe they were just bored. Either way, the Usos take the New Day out, and I'm sure there will be some shrapnel left over from that one.
They got
shivved right in the back. So I believe that was it for the pre-show. So then we started the main event here, SummerSlam. And the first match, the first music you hear getting booed out of the building is John Cena. Cena against Corbin. A lot of talk about this one. Corbin just wasted his Money in the Bank contract last week, partly because of Cena. So maybe the storyline was going to be, okay, he's got this huge vendetta against Cena now. He's going to do anything it takes to beat him. He's going to go in there and be dirty and angry and hit him over the head with something and beat him anything. And what do we get? A SmackDown-worthy match of... just a regular match. One AA puts him down. Clearly the guy's being punished for, maybe mouthing off to either Dave Meltzer or just on social media in general. Either way, what do you think about Corbin being from up here to down here and as quick as he's been demoted?
He has a lot of potential still. I don't know what's going on, behind the scenes, but yeah, he's totally buried now. I mean, he's just going to have to, I don't know what he's going to have to do to get back to where he was.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to have to suck it up like Triple H did when they were punishing him after the incident in MSG years ago. You have to take it and roll with the punches, and I think that the more you show them that you're a team player and that you can roll with anything that they throw at you, then that's the way to go about it. He did make a comment today, basically saying some stuff like, the internet community thinks they know everything, but they basically know nothing. I'm going to keep being successful and doing what I'm doing. Right answer, yes, but clearly there's some kind of disconnect. They don't put the money in the bank briefcase on just anybody. They put it on people who they eventually want to be a champion. In most cases, the guy becomes champion. But for him to lose it, a couple months after getting it, and in the way that he did, and then lose at SummerSlam to Cena the way that he did, clearly there's some kind of disconnect there, and something's going on that's just more than meets the eye. Unless they plan on giving him the belt this Tuesday or something in some way, or running him. I've read some rumors that possibly Bobby Roode is going to be called up to the SmackDown roster and maybe take his place in that upper echelon spot. So we'll see. Bobby Roode also losing his NXT championship to Drew McIntyre at NXT TakeOver, and debuting Adam Cole attacking McIntyre afterwards was awesome. And that's one of the problems. NXT TakeOver was 10 times better than SummerSlam, and that's an issue because there was only 5 matches on that. 5 matches for 2 hours and 20 minutes, blew the roof off the place. All 5 matches had, even the matches that didn't have storylines built into them, such as like Johnny Gargano and Andrade Cien Almas, still stole the show. Enough drama in the match to make up for the fact that there's no storyline. Like if there was some drama in the Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt match, which we'll get to, maybe it could have saved this thing. But at the same time, they had their 2 matches now. They're 1-1. I don't want to see it again. I've seen the Demon already now. They both have beaten each other clean. There's no story to it. Whatever. But anyway, getting back to SummerSlam. So Cena defeats Corbin with an AA. Nothing going on here. Cena celebrates with some fans, hightails it out of there, and then that's that. Second match of the night, we had our second title change. This match saw Naomi defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Natalya, who has been buried forever, finally getting her shot. I predicted that Naomi would keep the belt. They've been marketing this glowing belt. They want to make them and sell them to kids, so I'm thinking they're going to keep Naomi with the belt for a little while. Eventually, Carmella will cash in. Nope. What happens? The Professor.
I was right. Natalya wins.
He was right on it. Natalya wins, gets the sharpshooter on her. Naomi gets out of it, gets the sharpshooter back on. Naomi taps out, and Natalya is the clean champion. What do you think about Natalya being the SmackDown Women's Champion?
I like both ladies, but I think that Natalya should have to keep the same
the glowing belt. Just have it glow pink.
They spend all that money doing that. They're not.
That's exactly why I predicted that Naomi would win. Why spend all the money on this stuff? They only did it a couple weeks ago. It's not like it's been for months that she's had this belt that's been glowing. But, nonetheless, they felt that they had to go in a different direction. And listen, Natalya deserves it. She's been there for a long time. My assumption is that the plan will be that once Charlotte comes back from everything that's going on with her dad, and by the way, we hear that Ric Flair is doing a lot better. He even cut a promo on his nurse, so wishing the Nature Boy a speedy recovery. But the plan, I think, going forward now would be for Charlotte to feud with Natalya and eventually take the belt from her. So we'll see where that goes with Carmella and all these things. But, a lackluster match. My father actually watched the event with us last night, and he kept noting that, there was a lot of spots in there that just kind of looked clunky, like, for instance, when Natalya's hanging on the ropes, it's like, well, why are you hanging out? She was hanging on the ropes for probably about 20, 25 seconds staring at Naomi. Not trying to get out of it, just kind of standing there going, no, and then eventually getting kicked. Same thing with the sharpshooter. Naomi's just kind of laying there as Natalya's trying to put it on her. So, but nonetheless, both girls worked hard, and it was a decent match. And Natalya is our second new champion of the night, well deserving. Big Cass and Big Show, disaster from the get-go. My goodness, I mean, this thing was just set for disaster from the beginning. As much of a Hall of Famer as the Big Show is, and as great as he was, and what a great career he's had, at this point it's a novelty act. He's trying to get some younger guys over, which is what a guy in his position is supposed to be doing. No fault of his own, but he doesn't move great. And then if you take away his hand, you really have got not a lot going on there, because that's pretty much all he does, the choke slam, the punch. Nonetheless, they've got this idiot hung up on a shark cage. And I shouldn't even call him an idiot, because I actually like the guy. Nobody else seems to, though. It's being reported he's hated everywhere, Enzo. So I'm not so sure how much longer he's going to last there. Even last night I'm watching this match, and Enzo's up there, and he's obviously the only entertaining thing going on in this match. And he greases himself up, takes off his clothes, and gets out of the shark cage. And they make it seem like it's going to matter in the match in some way. Yeah. And basically he hangs there and drops, and as soon as he drops, he gets his friggin' face kicked off. And then the Big Show gets his face kicked off twice, pinned, and then they're out of there. Enzo doesn't move for 20 minutes, and that's it. It was the dumbest thing. I don't even know. What do you think about this?
I don't know. I think it would have been funnier if he greased himself up with like some KFC or something. You could promote KFC and get out of the cage at the same time. I don't know. That was another
unbelievable occurrence. Shawn Michaels coming out as Colonel Sanders, and everybody loves Shawn Michaels, and it's great to see him. But oh my God, what a weird commercial. Funny in some parts. Heath Slater is always great, but the Shawn Michaels thing, I'm like, why? I don't know.
I'm not your crispy boy.
I'm not your crispy boy. I'm extra crispy boy. Anyway, yeah, just a disaster. Big Cass, obviously they want to push him. He's got a big win for him, I guess. But literally, where does that put Big Show? Certainly, where does that put Enzo? I mean, nowhere. Big Cass has to move on to something else now that may be entertaining. He's gotten some good heat from the crowd, though, which is pretty cool. Last week on Raw was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he was good.
So we'll see where that mess ends up. Just another mess, wasted time. And speaking of wasted time, the next thing that we see, Randy Orton comes out for his match. As he's in the ring doing his entrance, he gets attacked by Rusev, beat down pretty good, and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be cool. Either the match isn't going to happen because Rusev is kicking his ass so bad, or it's going to be the reason why Rusev ends up winning in this match. Rusev needs this, kind of. Yeah. And what happens? The referee's pushing him back, give him time to get ready. Orton's stunned in the corner and says, no, ring the bell, And the bell rings, and Rusev charges at him, misses, and gets into what was actually a really nice RKO. Like, it's Rusev's body kind of like his head hit while the rest of his body was angled upward. It was actually looked like it probably hurt, but a good RKO. But that's it. The match was 9 seconds. Rusev done, buried again, and Orton with a win for. I don't know what this does for him. I'm sure they'll have another match on SmackDown. I'm sure it won't be 9 seconds, but I mean, with 13 matches on the card, maybe they just figured that this is where they could cut some time. What did you think of the Rusev and Orton thing?
Oh, poor Rusev.
Oh, my God.
They got to do something with this guy. I mean, change his shtick, do something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, listen, I was saying to my dad, too, when he was out there beating Orton, I'm like, man, what a big dude. Like, this guy is huge. They got to do something with him. He's in good shape. He can wrestle. It's not like he can't move. Like, he's a pretty agile dude for his size. So I'm not sure what they're doing with him. We'll see. It's the wasted talent on both rosters is astonishing. To see what they're doing with some of these guys, I know they in some areas they're doing some really good things, especially with the main event stuff that we'll talk about. And there's some guys that can put on a good match with anybody, and we'll talk about that as well. But there's just some guys that are there. It's just they're not in anything that's good. It's just nothing is. It's just thrown together. It's not well thought out like NXT. It doesn't take place over a long period of time and with a build up. It's just always rushed and crappy. And there's a couple more examples of that. The next thing we see is another title change. We have Alexa Bliss, who obviously she's not the greatest women's wrestler that there is, but she's got a great character. She's pretty good on the mic, and she has some good offense when she's wrestling. She's confident. She's believable when she's wrestling. Sasha Banks is very good. Was a fill-in for Bayley, so I'm thinking, okay, they're going to keep the belt on Bliss, and they switch it again. Bliss taps out to the Banks statement, and we got a new women's champion on Raw. What did you think of that?
I'm a little sad. I mean, I like Sasha, but Alexa is my favorite women's wrestler there, so it was a little sad to see her drop the belt, but hopefully she can get it back.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm not sure where they're going with this. I almost feel like right now they have to turn Bayley heel. Last night when they showed Bailey on the screen when Sasha was
Booze?
coming out, I mean, there was not one cheer going on for her.
Man.
So maybe it's the Brooklyn crowd, which was dead, by the way, last night, and for good reason in some of the parts. In some of the parts, you felt bad for some of the guys, but nonetheless, a decent match. Again, nothing that blew you away. They weren't given a whole lot of time. When she tapped out, it was kind of like what's so bitter? Not bittersweet. It was kind of just out of nowhere, and it just really was like. It didn't really mean anything. Anticlimactic. That's the word I'm looking for. Perfectly.
Okay.
That's why he's the professor. You see, that's why I keep him around.
Now I'm 5 feet of sadness.
Either way, though, Alexa Bliss, hopefully she'll come back from this. I mean, maybe she's not one that needs the belt, but I mean, I think that it was good for her to have it. She's a good heel, and
was she the first to win the
both?
The Raw?
Yep.
Now she should win like a regular.
She
title.
should go down to NXT and try to win that one. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but
she could be Universal Champ.
Well, you know what? I don't know. I have nothing for that one. But yeah, so Sasha Banks is the women's champion for the 4th time, and we'll see what happens on Raw with that. Ambrose and Rollins, so now I'm thinking, okay, you know what? They've gotten all these matches out of the way. There's about 4 or 5 matches that are left that should all be really good, starting with this one. So Rollins and Ambrose against Sheamus and Cesaro for the Tag Team Championship, and I thought this was a very good match. I thought that the guys worked hard.
It was a good finish.
An awesome finish. Yeah, we were sitting there watching it together, thinking that the finish was a really cool spot. The beach ball thing with Cesaro was pretty funny. But all guys worked really hard. I thought it was a good match. And Ambrose and Rollins come out with the Tag Team Championships. What did you think about that?
Actually, I think I liked this match more than I thought I would have.
Right.
So yeah, it was cool. Great finish. I don't think we've seen anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
At least not, I haven't. So I don't know. I'm glad for the champs, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do with those two guys too. Obviously, they're relishing in the fact that they're the tag team champs. I've seen some promos since afterwards and some interviews, but obviously this is a short-term deal. These are singles guys that WWE needs, and I foresee in the future Ambrose turning heel on Rollins, which is the best thing that you can hope for. But for now, it's a good spot for both of these guys. They have something to do now, so hopefully. They don't just keep doing Sheamus and Cesaro against them on Raw every week. Maybe build up to another pay-per-view match with them. Maybe the Hardys. Who knows? But it's definitely something different. I'm not going to complain about it. It's not with the list of things I have to complain about SummerSlam. This is not one of them. I thought the match was good. The outcome didn't bother me. So we'll see what happens with these guys. The Demon Finn Balor against Bray Wyatt. Now I knew that the best part about this match was going to be Finn's entrance.
Yeah.
The Demon coming out, which actually was cool, but it wasn't nearly as good as a lot of the NXT entrances he's had. He had a chainsaw in one, or they're almost like kind of themed. One time he was like Sherlock Holmes when they were, I think it was in the London takeover.
Like a demon Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah, it was. And, but still the entrance is cool. I expected after losing last week clean, even though because they fought last week, which is so stupid. I expected him to come in and beat him clean, and that's exactly what he did. Wasn't a bad match, wasn't a long match, and nothing really memorable about it. What did you think?
When he hit that coup de grace at the end for the finale, I could have sworn I saw like a chicken leg come out of Bray's mouth.
That was from Dolph Ziggler and Mojo Rawley in the back. They had some KFC.
Yeah, he polished off a bucket backstage.
Yeah,
maybe that's why he lost. I don't know.
Yeah, either way, Bray continues to be an anomaly. It's like they build him up, but they just knock him down. And to a point, even last night, where Finn got up from a move when Bray was doing the crab walk, and like Bray looked at him like, "Oh my God!" They got scared. And I'm like,
walked backwards.
"What is he scared? This guy's the eater of worlds. What is he scared of Finn Balor getting up for?" I mean, is it any different because the guy painted his face? Really?
Not really.
It's a new persona. Okay, his entrance is cooler, but really it's the same wrestler in the ring. And I love the Demon thing. I think it's cool. But this could have been such a great feud if they built it up. The darkness against the darkness. They wrestled last week. Bray poured crap all over his face, and now he's going to be the Demon. Like, storytelling 101 has not been something that these guys have been doing lately. And I don't know if it's just laziness or, listen, I'm sure it's not as easy as I'm saying it is, like coming up with new and fresh things and trying to get all these things together. But, listen, NXT Triple H is able to do it with guys that are less known, but that's the thing. He's building these guys up. You know, it's old school. If you watch, and I've said it a million times, if you watch NXT, it's just like old school WWE. You don't see every guy every week. You don't see these guys interacting in the same ring every week or wrestling each other every week. You see one guy cutting a promo, one guy wrestling a jobber, one guy doing this, wrestling a mid-card guy. You see different things, but it all builds to one big crescendo, and that's what I think is getting missed here. You see these guys in the ring too often with each other. Anyway.
Well, I was thinking, though, if Finn can be the demon, maybe Bray should have, like, the buzzard and come out like a
mascot?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I don't know if they're going to have another match. I'm sure they're going to have one more blow-off match because they've each won one, or however you want to look at it. But to me, it's really not doing anything. And
the buzzard.
Follow the buzzards. Follow the blizzard. I'm going to Dairy Queen later, I think. But either way, it didn't really do much for me. I'm sure I'll get disagreed with because there's a lot of big Finn Balor fans, and I love Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt. For me, it didn't do anything. Anyway, a match that did do something for me, even though it had some clunky double referee spots. Shane was a little animated, but AJ always delivers. AJ and KO always deliver, and they had another great match. I thought it was better than their was it Battleground match? Battleground? I get so confused. There's so many now. But nonetheless, AJ Styles beats Kevin Owens, hits him with the phenomenal forearm, and then hits him with the Styles Clash, pins him. Cool. Kevin Owens had a spot where he had pinned AJ, but AJ had his foot on the rope, so Shane stopped it and kept the match going. And KO got pissed off, and so it looks like they're maybe going to do something together. What did you think of the AJ KO match?
Well, as far as just pure straight wrestling, the best match of the night. I mean,
absolutely, I would agree with that. Pure straight wrestling and entertainment value for sure. AJ is the man. There's no doubting that. Hopefully, eventually, we'll get some AJ and Shinsuke action at WrestleMania. I think that's what we're shooting for here. But AJ comes out, retains. He was the first champion to actually retain his title all night long. So kudos to him. He'll probably go into another program with somebody else now, and maybe KO and Shane do something. Who knows? So we'll see where that goes. And then the two last matches were the two championship matches. So I was really looking forward to this first one. Definitely, and I love Shinsuke. I'm the biggest Shinsuke fan that there is. But at the same time, for me, it was a bad matchup because I just don't want Jinder to lose the title yet. I'm not sure. It's almost like I'm waiting for. It's almost every time you watch SmackDown, it's like there's a little something different about Jinder. Still trying to find the groove. The match itself, Shinsuke loses because the Singh brothers interfere and Jinder hits what wasn't really a coloss. I don't know what you call it. He kind of just grabbed him from behind. That's exactly what it was. It was a colossal failure. That's very good. It just was clunky. The match wasn't bad. It's just nothing great about it either. You didn't see a lot of that normal Shinsuke ground and pound.
A lot of this.
It was entertaining. It wasn't long, and the finish kills me because it's such a lazy thing to do. It's the same thing they've been doing since.
He was hugging him.
Yes, he was. It was the Colossus was really bad, and you could see Jinder saying something to him like, "Oh shit," just give me your hand, But either way, it wasn't what I would hope that the match would be. The finish, I even said to the professor here, I said, if Jinder is going to win, maybe he'll win clean. You don't think it's going to happen because these guys have not given you a reason to think that he's going to win clean in any match. And he hasn't, but at least make it different then. It's the same way he won the championship, retained it, and they're just doing the same things over and over with him. You want to build this guy up and make him credible, let him beat some people. He's a big enough dude to where if he beats Shinsuke, it's believable. He's a big dude. Yeah. My biggest fear for Jinder is that he's this champion, they're building him up, they go on this tour of India, he drops the belt, and he drops back down to 3MB status, They might have something here with this guy. He's not bad on the mic. He's a believable, wealthy heel that's better than everybody else and is foreign. So USA, it's natural heat. So Jinder wins. Jinder continues to be champion. Not sure what they do with Shinsuke. They made him just another guy last night. Yeah. Had this incredible entrance, but no substance to the match and no substance to the finish. So again, bad booking, bad job. Not saying the wrong guy won, but just the way that it all went down rubbed me the wrong way. If you know what I'm saying.
I know. I mean, I feel like maybe Jinder should have a cobra under his headdress something cool. I still say
the colossal failure. I love that. Well, that was that for the SmackDown Championship match, and the last match of the night delivered everything a main event should deliver. A star was completely made if he wasn't made already. But the Fatal 4-Way for the Universal Championship between Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman delivered from minute 1 to the last second of the match. Brock Lesnar ends up winning, so he'll go back into Raw tonight as the champion. He ends up pinning Roman Reigns. Roman goes for a spear, and Lesnar ducks it, picks him up, hits him with an F5, boom. Right guy got pinned. Right guy won. The right guys didn't lose or get pinned. Yeah. I think it would have really hurt Joe or even, obviously, Braun. I mean, you don't want Braun to get pinned right now. No. I mean, the moments where Braun and Brock were fighting with each other and when they were in the ring alone was like the only time really all night that the crowd was NXT worthy. Like, really into it and like on their feet and couldn't wait to see what happened next. And that's why I think the build for this match was great from minute 1. It's the one thing that they really did right with this whole thing was the build for this. The 4 guys involved all worked their asses off and did a really good job. Braun putting Brock through the table a couple times with the power slams and then turning the table on top of him, throwing the chair at Joe, and you know, I mean, it was such a entertaining match. These guys have really killed each other.
I feel like that's his thing now, throwing chairs.
It was cool. It's a cool spot. It was great when he did it with Roman, and it was great when he did it yesterday.
They're well placed too. I mean, he really
he throws those things like a fastball, man. I mean,
he must practice.
I mean, he's those things are flying in.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, this match delivered on every cylinder. No, that doesn't sound right. On every level. Well, listen, man, I'm shot today. I was actually. It's funny because I was falling asleep during this match. You can ask this guy. I actually fell asleep and missed the finish. It was a long day, so. Nevertheless, I went back and watched it again, and the whole thing, and just an amazing match, an instant classic. These guys should all be proud of themselves, but Braun Strowman really came out of there looking like $1 million. And I think it really opened a lot. People are high on him anyway, but I think it really opened a lot of people's eyes to him as a major player. Not only that, but a babyface, I think. Yeah. You know what I mean? The crowd, you can't deny, the crowd is into him completely, and they were all over everything he did.
Shave your beard. You want to be a baby face?
Shave that beard. But honestly, it was a great match. Lesnar retained, so maybe this is going to build towards a Braun versus Brock one-on-one match. I personally think that could be a huge main event at WrestleMania. Yeah. If you've got what they're thinking of is what they're going to do. Braun against Lesnar would be awesome if they have Reigns against Cena. And then AJ against Shin. If you got your those are your 3 top matches. Yeah. I don't care what the rest of the card looks like. I mean, those I would pay just to see those 3 matches. $9.99 a month, I do. But honestly, I mean, they got a card right there, man. And you throw Triple H in against whoever the hell he wants to fight. Yeah. You got Rollins, Ambrose. You got all these guys still left over. But the problem is, there's so many guys now that there are so many people that were left off of SummerSlam. The Dolph Zigglers, the Sami Zayns, and the Hardys were basically left off. I mean, they were on the pre-show. But there's a lot of guys that just aren't making it on the show. Even the Intercontinental belt wasn't defended. So at some point, I thought that doing the brand split was going to make it easier for guys to get some spotlight, but it's actually made it worse in a way. It seems like the pay-per-views only have a few matches each, except for like the big ones, and they load it with like 13 matches, and they can't get them all in. And if they do, they're cutting some of them short. So, that was SummerSlam. To me, a little bit of a disappointment. It wasn't as much of the factor of unpredictability that there was. The delivery wasn't there. Would you agree with that, or would you say that it was a stellar show?
In spots, it was stellar. But actually, my favorite part of the Lesnar, the 4-way battle, or the Fatal 4-way?
The Fatal 4-way. That's the last time we could say that for a while. The Fatal 4-way.
Fatal 4-way was actually Heyman's reaction. When he was on the ground, like, what?
He was like, what is that? Yeah. Heyman's great. In fact, he was overselling, for sure.
He was definitely.
But I predicted it when Brock got taken to the back. I'm like, well, we're obviously going to see him again. He's going to drag these paramedics back to the ring with him, and And sure enough, he did, and that was that. And one of my other favorite parts of the night was when they showed the Hindi team, for all our fans in India, when they showed the Hindi team and they started talking about honey ham. At one point they said something about honey ham. And we thought that was very good, because the Honey Ham Bake Company is a very popular sponsor of ours. No, they're not. But we like ham. We like honey ham, and we shout out.
One right here.
And we shout out to the Hindi announce team for talking about honey ham. I know that was stupid, but you have to put up with us. That's what you're doing. But anyway, so that was SummerSlam. We're looking forward to seeing what the carnage is for after SummerSlam. We got the Raw from Brooklyn. We've got SmackDown from Brooklyn. And let's set us on a course from now to Survivor Series and see what we've got going. What are your predictions for what's going to happen? Who's going to feud? Who's not feuding? Who's getting over? Who's getting under?
Everybody's feuding.
Everybody's feuding?
I don't know. Sami Zayn versus the entire roster.
He could take them all out.
I think so.
I'm still not a Sami guy. I like him, but... again, another guy needs something. I've read that they're going to be repackaging Dolph Ziggler, which is hopefully great. Maybe it'll be finally something that'll stick for him.
Switch maybe actual.
Maybe he'll just stay as Colonel Sanders. Maybe that's his new gimmick.
Hey,
he'll just stay as Colonel Sanders.
Walk down to the ring on the ramp,
handing chicken out.
People will love it.
And they can call his the finisher, instead of the zigzag,
chicken kick.
The 11 herbs and spices.
The chicken scratch.
The batter. But either way, SummerSlam from Brooklyn. Supposed to be the second best show of the year. I'm not so sure about that. NXT blew it away from me. So
it's the second best show of the week.
It wasn't even the best show of the weekend, yeah, for sure. And I'm pretty sure hardcore wrestling fans would agree with that. But Adam Cole debuting was awesome, with Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly coming out and forming somewhat of a Ring of Honor faction there. Asuka keeping her undefeated streak alive. Aleister Black and Hideo Itami had a good match. The Authors of Pain lost to Sanity. And Johnny Gargano and Andrade Cien Almas had a great match to open the show. So very proud of their work there. Triple H keeps killing it there. So that's about it for our SummerSlam review. Professor, you have anything for the people?
Actually, my favorite part of the entire night for SummerSlam was actually the reaction shots of the crowd when Jinder won. They were like... Oh,
they had that one guy who was like...
It's like me when I look at my bank account.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
The bewilderment.
I know the feeling, my friend. Emptiness. Just emptiness. I know the feeling. Well, for Professor Chewie, I'm Dr. Rips. Thanks for joining us for Rips Wrestling Roundup. We'll see you next week with a review of SmackDown and Raw and everything else that didn't happen on those shows. So, for us, take care, brush your hair.